Hello, everyone. I hope everybody enjoyed their Thanksgiving holiday with your loved ones. I'm LoroAntonio. Welcome to our new episode of Sportscenter with Loro and Matt. And Matt, how was your Thanksgiving, my friend?
It was great. Had a lot of good food and spent some good time with family and liked it quite a bit. So I watched a lot of good football and other sports too. And how was yours?
It was good. I mean, went to a Laker game on Friday. Unfortunately, they lost to the Kings, but they got revenge on them. But we're going to talk about that in just a little bit here. But first things off, let's start with the important news of the day is that last night, the owners of Major League Baseball have officially locked out the players, and we are in day one of the MLB lockout. And a lot of people think that I don't think that this lockout will last long. I think we're still going to see a full 162 game Major League season, but at the same time, there was just the sides have the players and owners have been talking about a new collective bargaining agreement since April. But yesterday, they did not progress well in getting towards a deal. What was your takeaways from yesterday when the owners unanimously voted to lock out the players?
It wasn't a surprise to me. I think that the players are advocating for something that could benefit themselves in larger markets. I think that Manfred and Major League Baseball are trying to protect smaller market teams in all of this. So, we'll see where this goes. But it wasn't a surprise for me. Was it a surprise for you, Loro?
Kind of was. I mean, I was kind of hoping that something would get done either before Thanksgiving or after Thanksgiving. But, based on the statements that Manfred released last night, he said that the league did this is because he wants to protect of not losing games in the 2022 season. What was your thoughts on that point?
If he's optimistic about it, but I'm still not. I think there might be some games lost, or maybe just a delay to the season of some sorts. It's just it still seems to me they're pretty far apart. What do you think?
They're still far apart on some core economic issues, but I really think that both sides will come together, and I think that we'll see some movement heading into January, and I think that we'll see a new deal by like early February or maybe into March at the latest. I just don't think it'll drag that long because history shows that in the past, when every time baseball has endured a lockout, they have not lost games.
Yeah. That's we'll see what happens. I mean, they got a couple of months to try to figure this out. So
yeah, I think they'll figure it out. Rob Manfred also mentioned that 1994 didn't work out for anybody, so we don't want to repeat that scenario.
Yeah, that almost crushed baseball. It took Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa and Cal Ripken Jr. basically to bring him back.
Yes, that was that's. I don't think anybody would want to go there, but I know that Rob Manfred, Tony Clark, and the rest of the negotiating team will get it done. But Tony Clark said something this morning. He said something that it was unnecessary about that the league locked out the players, and he also said that he was not happy with Rob Manfred's statements. If you could dive deep into that, because you know Tony Clark pretty well, and he's the president of the Players Union.
Yeah, former Detroit Tiger.
Yeah, so he was not pretty pleased about it.
Yeah.
So anyways, let's start with your Detroit Tigers now that we have this lockout stuff to be talking about in the coming weeks and in the coming months. So you guys got Javier Baez. He could play shortstop. He could play second base. I still think the Tigers could be in the running for Carlos Correa, though.
It might be. They have some money to spend. I think Correa is going to be too expensive for what they want, though. I thought they might go with Correa and then plug some other holes, but they went with Baez. But who knows? That could be a pretty good infield for them. But yeah, they opted off of Correa. If it's true that Correa might be getting Corey Seager type money, I could see why they don't want to go all in on him. And but yeah, Baez could be a pretty good player for them for sure. What'd you think of it?
Oh, I think this is going to really help Detroit. The Detroit Tigers be a really good baseball team heading into next season. And I really think that, that in the past they've been like the laughing stock of baseball. When Al Avila replaced Dave Dombrowski as the president of baseball ops and GM, everybody thought that he built a dysfunctional roster. But I really think that Al Avila has done a really, really good job reconstructing the roster and getting the Detroit Tigers back to where they need to be.
Yeah, they are. They had a much better season last year than what anyone was anticipating. A few other teams did too. The Mariners did much better than people thought. I think there was another team I'm missing here too that they did better than what people thought. But yeah, I think that they're going to be the Giants, of course. Yeah, so they're going to be even better. I think next year. I think now it's time to get over 500 and see what that can do. And if you can get into the playoffs, that's even better.
Well, is the 5-year plan working for AJ Hinch so far?
Yes, it is. I think so.
But even if Baez is now a Tiger, you got Eduardo Rodriguez. Do you think that it's enough for the Tigers to kind of challenge the Chicago White Sox for the American League Central title?
I think they need maybe one or two more pieces to do that, but that could be coming still. We'll see what they get.
Yeah, like AJ Hinch, when he took over the job, his vision was to make the Tigers good again, because I didn't think Rod Gardner did a good enough job, though.
Yeah.
And I think AJ Hinch, since the sign stealing scandal, the Astros coming back to the team that he played for in Detroit, because you saw him play in Detroit, and you think that AJ Hinch is going to be you think AJ Hinch has done a decent job with this rebuild in Detroit?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So, I mean, you guys also non-tendered Matt Boyd, and it's not a surprise to me. I don't think he's a big part. He's not going to be a big part of your pitching plans. So, do you think that it's not a surprise that Matthew Boyd got non-tendered?
Yeah, I'm not that surprised. I think that, it was probably a planned move.
Yeah, I mean, you got Torkelson, that's going to be good. Casey Mize is going to really take that next level. Michael Fulmer, is he the closer, or do you think he's still a legitimate starter that can give you 5 or 6 innings?
Oh, yeah, we'll see about that. Yeah, we'll see what spring training shows with that.
And then Gregory Soto, great closer, along with Joe Jimenez.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about the Rangers with Corey Seager. So he left the Dodgers to join the Rangers on a 10-year, $325 million deal. Marcus Semien left the Blue Jays to join Corey Seager with the Rangers. And then the Rangers, however, got John Gray from the Colorado Rockies. Are the Rangers really going for it? And do you think that the Rangers are ready to make it a really, really tough race in the AL West?
Yeah, I think so. I think that the AL West is no joke. I think you got a lot of good teams there. And the Mariners playing better than everyone thought. The A's are always going to be tough. Of course, you got the Astros. Doesn't look like the Rangers intend to be bottom dwellers, and the Angels are hoping to make some moves to strengthen their pitching staff. That's going to be a dogfight coming up.
I think that's going to be a really good division. I mean, what's your thoughts on Corey Seager joining the Rangers? And do you think that the Rangers are getting a really good player from the Dodgers, though?
Oh, yeah, they're getting a good player. I think that he's going to make them better, and they're willing to pay him a bunch of money, and he's going to go take it. Well, speaking of the Dodgers, shifting gears before we talk about Marcus Semien, the Dodgers yesterday before the lockout, they re-signed Chris Taylor to a 4-year, $60 million deal with a team option for a 5th year. I thought that if the Dodgers failed to re-sign Corey Seager, they had to find a way to keep Chris Taylor back, not as an everyday starter. Chris Taylor is a guy, to me, I've always defined him as a utility player that is in the lineup wherever Dave Roberts wants him. He's not really a guy that has a set position, though. Yeah, you think they're going to re-sign him?
He already did. He already re-signed.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that one. I knew they were thinking about doing it, but
Yeah, it's a 4-year, $60 million deal with a club option for a 5th year. What was your thoughts on the Dodgers bringing back Chris Taylor?
Yeah, that seems pretty affordable for them.
Yeah, I think it is too. I mean, I was telling you that I think Chris Taylor doesn't have a set position, though.
Yeah.
He's a guy that I think is going to be needed wherever, because you're going to expect Gavin Lux to start at second base. Chris Taylor's probably going to be on the bench, like I've always envisioned him to. But with all the injuries that the Dodgers had to deal with, he stepped up in those moments.
Yeah, he has.
So anyways, now the San Diego Padres, however, made a trade, and they sent Adam Frazier to the Seattle Mariners. So what was your takeaways on that? And did you think that when the Padres traded away Adam Frazier, does it give them more financial flexibility to get a premier hitter in the lineup or get a premier pitcher?
Oh, yeah. I think it does give them a little bit of flexibility. Probably a good move for both teams.
It is. I mean, Adam Frazier is really good, but also the Boston Red Sox made some flurry of moves. Like they got Michael Wacha and Rich Hill to kind of help stabilize the rotation. And then they traded Hunter Renfroe to the Brewers for Jackie Bradley Jr. I mean, Red Sox fans really liked Hunter Renfroe, but I think what the Red Sox wanted was to kind of stabilize the outfield with better defense, and getting Jackie Bradley Jr. back was something that made Red Sox fans happy, though.
Yeah.
So what was your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's good for the Red Sox for sure.
It is good for the Red Sox, but also now that the lockout is in effect, there's some remaining free agents that we think that will be going somewhere. Let's start with Chris Bryant. Do you think he ends up with the Phillies, the Padres, or the Mariners? My pick for Chris Bryant is the Mariners. I kind of want him to see him play third base on a full-time basis again.
Oh, yeah. That could be pretty cool. Yeah, it's either that or the Phillies, I think.
What about your former Detroit Tiger, Nick Castellanos? I predict that he will sign a 7 or 8 year contract with the San Francisco Giants.
That'd be pretty cool. That'd be a good move for the Giants, I think.
They need a middle of the lineup kind of guy, because you know how you remember when you had JD Martinez? He was like your 5-hitter. Nick Castellanos was a Gold Glove right fielder.
Yeah.
Nick Castellanos is not really known for his defense, but I think Castellanos would fit what the Giants needed. I thought he would be a Miami Marlin, but I feel like that Castellanos is going to want to play the outfield.
Yeah.
So do you think that the Giants would be a good fit for Castellanos?
Yes, I think so.
And for Correa, do you think he'll be a Cub?
Yes, I believe so. What do you think?
I think if he's not a Detroit Tiger, he should be a Chicago Cub. I mean, the Cubs definitely need a shortstop, and they need somebody to kind of help rebuild the Cubs into making them contenders again. But I just don't think the Cubs are going to be that good, you know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the big remaining free agents that are still out there. But do you also think that you'll see Clayton Kershaw and Kenley Jansen come back to the Dodgers?
I think yes. Now I think that they will probably try to make him come back.
I think that's a priority for them, you know?
Yeah.
So anyways, now on from baseball to football. So let's talk about some of our Week 12 recaps. So start with the Thanksgiving games. Obviously, you were pretty heartbroken by the Detroit Lions losing to the Chicago Bears. I thought both teams played a really good, hard-nosed football game. Andy Dalton, Jared Goff going head-to-head. I thought that the Lions will get their first win against a team that has just been not so good in the Chicago Bears. I almost said Cubs. So what was your overall thoughts? And you told me on Thanksgiving Day that final drive really killed the Detroit Lions defensively.
Yeah, I think the defense, I think, played their heart out, and tried to get some stops there. But at the end, an 8-minute drive by Andy Dalton just sealed the deal. The Lions are in spoiler mode. They're trying to, they want to bring some pain to some other teams. I think that they're still going to get a win this season. But yeah, it's been very tough for them. So
it's a question of which game and when.
Yeah, maybe it'll be against the Vikings.
I kind of think so too. I predicted the Bears. I was kind of wrong about that, but you think that the Lions are officially eliminated from playoff contention. But a lot of people think that, hey, even though that Dan Campbell's the coach, a lot of people are saying the Lions are terrible, fire the coach. But a lot of people are saying the Lions are definitely on the right track with Dan Campbell.
Yeah, I think that, he needs a year with this. More than a year to fix things. And with what's gone on at the quarterback position, that's just terrible. He was put into a situation where they had to trade away Stafford and bring in Goff. And they'll make he's going to probably fire Anthony Lynn and get rid of some of the offense and move forward in that direction. He'll have to make changes to his staff, but they're not going to get rid of Dan Campbell.
Why do you think he would want to fire Anthony Lynn?
Well, he's already taken over the play calling from Lynn, so that's not a really good ringing endorsement of him. And let's face it, the offense has been bad with Goff, and that's largely because of Goff himself, and part of that's probably maybe because of Dan Campbell, but it's also the offensive coordinator, and so you can't keep Anthony Lynn, I don't think. So I would imagine they're gonna fire him.
They might, but we'll have to wait and see. But what about the Cowboys and the Raiders? I thought that was a really good game, but the Raiders ended up getting the win, and the Cowboys only had one win in November.
Yeah, Cowboys heading in the wrong direction, and it was. I thought the real story was the Raiders, who started off 5-2, and then lost 3 straight. And they go into Dallas on Thanksgiving, and they get a win. They get a tough win where they nearly blew it, and in overtime they won. So I think the real story here is the Raiders, and the Cowboys. Well, they're having some tough times. I think they've lost 3 in a row. So Cowboys need to turn around. I think they will tonight against the Saints. And Raiders, in that jam-packed AFC West with the Broncos.
That's a really good division this year.
Yeah, no one's at 500 even. They're all above 500, all the teams.
Yes, they are. It's hard to believe that, but
yeah.
And then talk about the Bills and Saints. Talk about the Bills playing like they were so mad of getting blown out by the Colts, and then they come into the Bayou and get a win, big time.
Yeah, that was a big win. They just demolished the Saints there, and so good for them. They bounced back, and now they're going to have a real tough matchup in Buffalo against the Patriots in the snow, it looks like.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that in a little bit. The Patriots, however, are looking like they're for real. They're 8-4, beating a shorthanded Tennessee team by the final of 36-13. And I tell you what, the Patriots are back to being the NFL's worst nightmare.
They are. Yeah, people had a break from the Patriots for 1 year, and now they're back 8-4, and they're looking good. The AFC is pretty wide open. Like I'm not ready to anoint them as Super Bowl contenders for the AFC quite yet. I still would put the Chiefs ahead of them. I think the Patriots still have 2 games with Buffalo on the schedule. I think they also have a couple other tough games there. All these teams have flaws, though. The Patriots have a couple of flaws. One is they have a rookie quarterback, and it's tough for a rookie quarterback to do well in the NFL playoffs. They don't have a big play threat, but you never know. If they're playing games in the snow or bad weather in January and February, it might not be that big of an issue for them. It'll be very interesting going forward to see what that team does.
All right, so anyways, now we'll talk about 2 of the LA teams that played. Let's start with the Chargers and Broncos. Both of them are 6-5, but I was disappointed in the fact that the Chargers lost to a Denver Broncos team that is very desperate. But for the Chargers, it was kind of like a rare bad game for Justin Herbert. But hey, Vic Fangio really has Justin Herbert's number, and I think he kind of put together a really good game plan to coach against his student Brandon Staley.
Yeah, that's kind of an MO with this team is if they go up against a experienced defensive-minded head coach like Vic Fangio, Bill Belichick, Mike Zimmer, they have trouble like with that. And, that team, the Chargers, every yard was tough. I was watching that game. It was like there were no easy yards on the ground or in the air. It was a tough, hard-fought game, something you'd expect from a Vic Fangio coach team. Patrick Surtain had an awesome game with 2 interceptions. One he returned for a touchdown. That one was not Herbert's fault. I mean, that hit Eckler in both hands, and it bounced up 5 feet in the air, and it came down into Surtain, and he ran it back. So, I mean, that's not Herbert's fault. The first one seemed like it was his fault. He didn't see Surtain there. But despite that, Herbert actually threw for, I think, 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. It was just that they had a couple of costly mistakes, one in the first half, 2 in the second half. You can't get down to the red zone and throw an interception. That's brutal. And they couldn't capitalize on their defense. Hung in there for quite a while. I thought their defense is pretty good, but ultimately, Denver was able to do enough on offense to get the win. So that's what happened there.
Yeah, that's what they did there. But, I mean, the Chargers, I think they'll bounce back in their next game. I still think the Chargers will find a way to get into the playoff race as well. But now let's talk about the Rams and the Packers. So what is wrong with the LA Rams? I mean, everybody says the Rams are pretenders, and I don't think so. I just think that the Rams are just not performing well right now.
Yeah, that's I was reading and hearing that the Rams they're kind of losing their identity a little bit. They lost Robert Woods, they brought in Odell Beckham Jr., and they've been trying to air it out a lot. They're not really focusing as much on the running game. I think that's a bit of a problem. So I think McVay has kind of lost sight of what the team is, and so Stafford hasn't been playing that well lately, so that's part of it too. They've had some costly errors here and there, but they're strangely kind of looking like Cleveland, and maybe it's Odell Beckham, the effect. They're bringing in Von Miller. They're bringing in Odell Beckham Jr. I don't think that those moves look good on paper. I don't know how good they are in the locker room. I don't know how good they are once they're out there on the field playing. So they got to figure it out. They have some time, but they got to figure this out. They're home against Jacksonville. They should pound Jacksonville and let's get some confidence back after that game.
Yes, they should be able to pound the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's for sure. But we'll have to talk about our game picks in a little bit, but also talk about that Sunday night game with the Browns and the Ravens. And the Ravens got a big win. And then what was your thoughts on Monday Night Football with the Washington football team beating Seattle? As you know, both teams are heading in opposite directions.
Yeah, here we go. Washington making a run here, just like they did. Was it last year?
Yes.
2-6. They got back a couple of their offensive linemen, I think, and they look like a different team. This is, not the team of a month ago. Ron Rivera, man, and he can put the clamps down on defense too for a lot of these games. And I'm just glad the Chargers played him in week 1 and got a win, because if they were playing him now, I don't know if that would happen. But yeah, I think this is going to be a very tough out. And Washington plays, I think, Dallas twice, the Giants once, and the Eagles once, or something like that. They have like 4 divisional games left. And they can make some moves here. They can put some pressure on Dallas. I still think Dallas is going to win the division, but they can definitely make some moves here. And they might even be a wild card team, maybe the 7th team into the NFC. So great coaching job by Ron Rivera.
It has been a great coaching job by Ron Rivera, that's for sure here. So now, with that being said, let's talk about and then also for Sunday Night Football, I mean, did it tell you something that the Browns are pretty much done and that the Ravens are definitely winning the AFC North?
Yeah, I would say so, with the exception of maybe Cincinnati. I mean, I would say this: it's not the Steelers. They look just shellacked out there. They don't look tough. Ben Roethlisberger needs to retire. I mean, it looks bad on both sides of the ball. Baker does not look like the franchise quarterback, although he is injured and banged up. So there might be some leeway given to him there. But he doesn't look nearly as dynamic as Joe Burrow. He doesn't have the talent of Lamar Jackson. So it's going to come down to either Cincinnati or Baltimore. And do they play each other? They must have a game left between.
Yeah, they
Cincinnati
actually, the Ravens and Steelers are going head to head on Sunday. So in Pittsburgh. So basically the Steelers, they're still in it, but we'll have to talk about who's going to win that game. But I know I am not picking Pittsburgh to win this game.
No, definitely not. Yeah, the Ravens have a lot of divisional games coming up. You said they're Steelers this week?
Yeah, Steelers this week. And then we'll see who.
And then they're at Cleveland the week after. They're both road games, right?
Yes, both road games.
And then where are the then they host the Packers. Oh, they got a tough schedule here for sure. Yeah, the Ravens, they're at Cincinnati. Yeah, I'll say this. Both Baltimore and Cincinnati have tough schedules down the stretch.
Oh my God,
latest Ravens schedule is crazy. I don't think
maybe crazy, but brutal. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough, very tough stretch at Cincinnati. There, that's Christmas, the day after Christmas, and then it's just super rough for both teams. I mean, it's just a tough, very tough, and they host the Rams. Oh my goodness! Oh boys, and that same week, Cincinnati's hosting Kansas City. Wowee!
That is really, really tough on the Bengals, But anyways, now going on to Week 13. So, anyways, let's start with Thursday Night Football. The Cowboys and the Saints are going head to head. Even after a loss, the Saints play really tough football, but hey, if Taysom Hill is the starting quarterback, he gives them the best chance to win over Trevor Siemian.
Probably does. Yeah, I think they're. It's going to be tough sledding though for them for sure.
I'm going to pick the Dallas Cowboys to win this game. I think they're going to eke out a win, and I think New Orleans is going to score some points, but it's not going to be enough.
I think Dallas is going to win by at least a touchdown. I don't know if it's how close it's going to be. Dallas could end up blowing them out here. Back to losses in the Superdome.
We'll see. But anyways, let's go to our Sunday slate. So Joe Judge and Brian Flores are going head-to-head. The Miami Dolphins started out pretty bad, but since then, the Miami Dolphins are 5-7, and they are pushing for a playoff spot right now.
Yeah, here you go. This is kind of your surprise team coming up here late. The Dolphins. They'll be hosting the Giants, and I'm going to have to go with the Dolphins on that one.
Me too. Tua Tagovailoa is playing really well right now, and he's showing people why he's the franchise quarterback for the Dolphins, and I think that the Dolphins will continue to build around Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah.
That's kind of my pick there, but from one New York team to another, so the Giants are going to get beat. The Jets, however, are 3-8, and they are playing the Philadelphia Eagles. And all I got to say is one thing. The Eagles should blow out the Jets. I got one thing to say about that game.
Yep, I think the Eagles make a return trip to MetLife Stadium 2 weeks in a row, and I think they get the win this time. I think last week was a fluke, and I think this week, they finally get a win at MetLife this year.
Yes, they do. I mean, Zach Wilson's good. I think he's their quarterback of the future, but right now he is not playing up to expectations.
Yeah.
Then let's talk about the Colts taking on the Texans. I mean, the Texans, I mean, they lost last week to the New York Jets. I thought that was uncalled for. They should have been 3-9 instead of 2-9 3-8 instead of 2-9 in my opinion. But I think they're going to go 2-10, and I'm going to say the Colts are going to just blow them out. Be ready to blow out the Texans, Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely going with the Colts here too. I think the Colts are a team that they beat up on the bad teams and they struggle against the good teams. They lost at home at Tampa Bay, they lost at home to Tennessee recently. So I think the Colts get a win here at Houston, though.
Talk about Jonathan Taylor. He's like their best player on the rushing attack.
Yeah.
And then for the Texans, I like Tyrod Taylor, but I don't think he's enough though.
Right.
The whole organization is a mess, like we've talked about. And I don't think it's the fault of David Culley. I think he's doing everything he can to make the Houston Texans a competitive football team. But I was told he's a puppet.
Yeah.
But I just think Cal McNair is the one to blame. Still, Cal McNair is he is one of the worst owners in the NFL. And I just don't think the Texans are going to be good for a while.
Right. Okay.
So now we'll talk about your fight, the Lions taking on the Vikings. The Vikings, however, they're still in the playoff mix. But I am not going to go for the Vikings in this game. I am going to go with the Detroit Lions. I feel so sorry for this team and for you guys, especially 0-10-1. They need to get a win now. I'm calling Dan Campbell to get a win against the Vikings.
Yep. I hope they do, but I have to go with the Vikings. I just, the Vikings are desperate because they should be a playoff team and they're 5-6. And if they lose this game, that's going to really hurt them down the stretch. So I don't think the Vikings drop this one.
The AFC North is bad as a whole. Like Green Bay 9-3, Minnesota 5-6. The Bears are 4-7. I think they'll be 4-8, and then the Lions will probably be 11-1. I hate to say it.
Yep.
But I know that who I'm going for and who the Bears are playing. They're playing the Arizona Cardinals. I think they're going to get Kyler Murray back. The Cardinals are 9-2, and the Cardinals are playing really good football right now. But I am going to pick Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, and the Arizona Cardinals to stomp on the Bears. They deserve to get blown out.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Cardinals here too.
The Bears are 4-7. They just got lucky to beat Detroit. That's the only team they can play well against. But I'm just not – I'll be high on them if they make changes, especially that I want change in the organization.
Yep.
Especially getting rid of Matt Nagy, who is – arguably one of the worst head coaches that I've ever seen. So fire Nagy. That's all I got to say. And the Bears wouldn't even do it after Thanksgiving. I thought it would happen regardless, but the Bears wouldn't. The Bears said that they didn't want to make a move in the season and want to ride it out with Nagy.
Yeah.
Which I think is smart. But I ultimately think he's going to get fired. One of the first coaches fired at the end of the season.
Yep.
That's what I think. So the Chargers and Bengals. I would want to watch that game, but I'll probably be doing Brady versus Matt Ryan on ColorCast. So, anyways, I'm gonna pick my pick to win this game. I'm going with Herbert and the Chargers to beat Burrow and the Bengals.
Yeah, Bengals are a tough one to figure out. I'm gonna go with the Bengals because they're at home. This is going to be a fun one to watch, though, and it could be very telling about both teams. I'll be rooting for the Chargers. I hope they get a win, but I think I'll take the Bengals on this one.
If the Bengals win, I wouldn't be surprised. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, that's a really good combo right there.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about Brady versus Ryan round 2 in the ATL. I mean, I have one thing to say. I mean, the Falcons, a lot of people thought that they were going to be so bad. Their defense is still atrocious. But you know what? The Falcons are hanging in there with Arthur Smith. I think Arthur Smith is the right person to be the Atlanta Falcons head coach, and deservingly so.
Yeah, I think the Buccaneers got this game, though. I think they'll demolish the Falcons.
Yeah, I think so, too. I mean, I think that the Falcons will play hard. I think Matt Ryan will give Tom Brady kind of a challenge, but I think Tampa Bay will win this game.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to be doing that game on Sunday instead of the Chargers Bengals because it's Brady. Like I'm a Patriots fan and I'm still loyal to Brady even though he's not a Patriot anymore.
Uh-huh.
But I do expect the Buccaneers to get a win in the ATL. So now on to the late afternoon games. So the Jaguars playing the LA Rams, but I have one thing to say. Matthew Stafford and the LA Rams are going to demolish Trevor Lawrence and the Jags.
Yeah, I think the Rams get it clicking here, and yeah, I think they get a big win.
My perspective, my thoughts on Trevor Lawrence is he's had a really solid rookie season, but the record's not good for the Jags. I think Trevor Lawrence has been one of the bright spots for the Jaguars.
Yeah, me too.
But I just think that the Jaguars need to fire Darrell Bevel as their offensive coordinator. I think Urban Meyer needs to get an offensive coordinator that really helps Lawrence play to his strengths. And Urban Meyer's a guy that calls spread offenses.
Uh-huh.
And then the Washington football team taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. Both teams are still alive in the playoff mix. But one of these teams is going to be 6-6. Who do I want? I'm going to go with a better team with a better quarterback, and that's the Raiders because of Derek Carr.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Washington football team here. I think they're just looking tough on defense.
Is that your upset special? Since it's 6-6 versus 5-6.
Yeah, it's my upset special.
Yeah, don't count out the Washington football team late in the season. Everybody thought that with Ryan Fitzpatrick out, it was going to be like, oh, Tyler Heineke. But Taylor Heineke's really lived up to the hype here.
Yeah, it's bad, and I think they're going to go in there and they're going to get a against the Raiders.
And then let's talk about the Ravens and the Steelers. I mean, the Steelers did not look good last week against the Bengals. They got shellacked. And they're playing the Ravens. And if their defense played the way they played in Cincinnati, then there's not a chance for the Steelers defense to get to Lamar Jackson and his dynamic playmaking skills. So I'm going to pick the Baltimore Ravens to win this game, but I think it's going to be close. I think the Steelers are going to show some fight in this game. I don't think they're getting blown out in this one.
Yeah, it's a rivalry game. I'm going with the Ravens too.
But it's going to be a close game?
Yeah.
And then talk about the 49ers and Seahawks. That game got pushed into the late afternoon because the Seahawks record isn't good, but the Seahawks are 3-8. The Niners are 6-5. I picked Seattle to win since Russell Wilson's came back, and I thought that we were going to see big progress in the Seahawks to make a playoff push. I still think they can win a lot of games here. So give me the Seattle Seahawks over the San Francisco 49ers. I just think that Russell Wilson can't be stopped and underestimated.
I'm going to go with 49ers here. I think they go up there and get a win and keep it rolling, go to 7-5.
And why do you say that? Why do you think that the Niners keep it rolling? And why do you not think Seattle won't keep it rolling?
I think there's too many problems with Seattle right now with the coaching and with Russell Wilson not playing well, and I don't have faith in them.
I think Russell Wilson, at the end of the day, I think he'll stay with the Seahawks. I don't think he's leaving.
Uh-huh.
I just think that – why do you think he's going to leave?
I think there's too many teams that could use a quarterback that I think he'd go to, like Pittsburgh, the Giants. Could even be Miami if they move off of Tua. Could be Washington. Like, I feel like Washington would be a good landing spot for him. You know,
I think this upcoming NFL offseason is going to get crazy.
Yeah.
With a lot of quarterback movement, I think. And I think that it's going to be a crazy offseason coming up. So, anyways, on to Sunday Night Football. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater, I mean, he's not related to you, though. He has the same last name as you. We talk about him all the time. But
yep.
The Denver Broncos, everybody thought that Vic Fangio was going to be fired, but I feel like that I kind of changed my mind on Fangio now. Broncos 6-5. I think that Fangio is safe, and he saved his job.
Yeah, I think they kind of just need a quarterback. And, I don't know if they'll go to the draft or maybe Russell Wilson they could, but yeah, I mean, there's I'm going to go with the Chiefs here.
I'm going with Kansas City. I think the Chiefs will be 8-4. I think the Chiefs have been playing really good, much better football than they did in the first half of the season. But I really think that do you think that the Chiefs will end up winning the AFC West, or do you think it's going to be a dogfight?
I think the Chiefs will end up winning it. Yeah,
I think so. I think they will. I think they're going to show that. I think they're still the better team in that division. And then Monday Night Football. It's between my Patriots and the Buffalo Bills. I have a lot to get off my chest in this game. I'm so excited about this game. I can't wait to see Mac Jones go up against Josh Allen. But Mac Jones is MJ10 right now. And MJ10 is playing his best football as a rookie. And a lot of people think that he wouldn't make the Super Bowl as a rookie. But I'm going to say that the Patriots will probably lose one of these games in the second half of the season. But I just see the Patriots making a big run to the Super Bowl here when it's all said and done. We'll have to talk about them come playoff time. But for the Bills, I think it's going to be a chess match between New England, Buffalo, in the snow in Buffalo. So give me the Patriots in a narrow win. It's going to be low scoring. I don't expect the score to be that high. I'm going to say 17-14 Patriots.
Yeah, that's I like your take on this, that it's going to be a really close game, and I even like what you're saying with the Patriots, given it's going to be cold and snowy. That'll favor the Patriots, I think, in this type of game. I'm going to still go with Buffalo because they're the home team. I'll give them a slight edge. I'll go with a narrow Buffalo Bills victory.
I think if you look at it, I really think that if you really look at it, I think that if for the Patriots, what's been really working for them is running the football. Damian Harris has been really their bright spot. And then you talk about their defense has been playing its best football as of late. You have two really good tight ends. I mean, Hunter Henry has been a really good fit for the Patriots as well. And then for the Bills, it's Josh Allen, Dawson Knox. Josh Allen had a really, really good game last week in the Bayou.
Yep.
So, anyways, now let's talk about some basketball. So, the Lakers. I mean, I was at the Laker game last Friday against the Kings. They lost. They beat your Detroit Pistons. They're on a nice 2-game winning streak right now.
They are. Yes, they are.
So, what was your takeaways from last Friday's Lakers-Kings game? To me, when I was at that game, it was inexcusable for us to lose to a team like that.
Yeah, I'll say this. I watched the Golden State Phoenix game, Warriors Suns on Tuesday, I think it was. And both those teams would obliterate the Lakers if they played in that series. Like, the Lakers, I'll say this, like, they tried to bring in guys like Westbrook and Carmelo, and I just don't see it working. And there's too much talent with the Suns and with the Warriors, arguably even with teams like the Jazz or the Mavericks, maybe. But the point is, like, they're behind the Warriors and the Suns, and that's not going to change. So I think it's going to be really tough for the Lakers to bounce back here. And then, even if the Lakers have to stay healthy too, like, LeBron's out for another week because of COVID, here we go again. And, they're old, and for them to have any shot whatsoever, they need to be just humming along perfectly. Vogel has to get this team figured out. But I think they need teams like the Suns or Warriors to just, I guess, guys to get injured or, they're not topping those two teams going forward. And I don't think there's anything they can do to fix that between now and the trade deadline. I don't know if they can bring in anyone.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they can bring in anyone for that. I mean, I'm looking at the Lakers' schedule right now. I mean, the Lakers, I'll tell you what, their schedule looks pretty brutal in the month of December.
Yeah.
Because they got Phoenix on the 21st. San Antonio should be a no-brainer. I can't never say it's going to be an easy win for the Lakers to beat a team like the Spurs, who are so bad. And then the Brooklyn Nets, that is going to be hard.
Yeah, well, they've been, the Lakers also they lost at home to the Kings. That's a bad loss. They only beat the Pistons by like 6 or 4 points. So they're having a lot of problems. Like just getting wins consistently. So it's going to be tough sledding going forward.
It is, but we're gonna hang in there. I think the Lakers will find a way to get a win streak going. They're gonna play They're playing the Clippers tomorrow, and do you think the Lakers can beat the Clippers tomorrow?
That'll be a tough one. Let's see. What's the Lakers, Clippers? Yeah, that'll be a tough one. It's a coin flip, I think.
Yeah, that's gonna be a really coin flip. So,
And the Suns play with the Warriors too. That'll be a fun one to watch tomorrow.
Yes, that will be.
They just played the other day. They should have. Yeah. Now here we go again.
Yeah, and then for the Pistons, however, let's see who they have coming up tonight. They have a tough test in the desert with the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, tough road game. That'll be they should get clobbered.
My Lakers didn't even clobber you guys.
Yeah.
So, how do you think
Devin Booker out?
Probably will be. I think he might be, but if he is, that's a huge loss to the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, that's the thing too, though, is like I think they can afford to lose Booker, just keep on the sideline for as long as they need, and the Suns are still fine. They've won 17 in a row. I mean, that's just incredible. 18-3, that team. That's a good team.
Not really. So, anyways, now let's talk about so the Pistons. You said should get clobbered because the Pistons, however, after they played the Lakers, the Pistons got clobbered by Portland too.
Yeah,
as Chauncey Billups kind of knows the game plan for the Pistons too.
Yeah, I mean the Pistons. They're a young team. They're going to get clobbered consistently. Out there. They'll get some wins though.
All right, now on to the NHL. So the LA Kings tonight will take on the Calgary Flames. The Kings, I was told that I looked at their schedule. Their December is really brutal. They have a not so easy schedule this month.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you said you're going to the Red Wings Kings game in next month, right?
Yeah, January 8th, Saturday night.
So, and for the Kings tonight against the Flames, and also a homecoming is coming for the Kings as Daryl Sutter is making his return to Staples Center. What is your takeaways on the Kings and Flames game?
It'll be a good one. We'll see what happens.
All right, so now let's talk about the Red Wings right now. The Red Wings beat the Bruins 2-1, and then they beat the Kraken 3-4. So, takeaways on the Red Wings so far.
Yeah, it's the same. What I've been saying all season long. They're a young team that is exciting. They are a legit exciting team. They have Nedeljkovic, their goalie, Lucas Raymond, their forward, and Moritz Seider, their defenseman. I mean, any one of those guys might be up for the Calder Trophy this year. I mean, they have a good young core.
Who's up for the Calder Trophy?
I think Lucas Raymond for the Red Wings, Moritz Seider for the Red Wings, and Nedeljkovic, their goaltender. They're all like really good, and we'll see what happens. But
currently, they have the first wild card spot in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, no, they could be a playoff team this year. They're playing that well, and good for Jeff Blashill for getting this team ready. They're on a 4-game win streak. And yeah, I think that, they just got to hang in there and maybe they can get into the playoffs. We'll see.
I think they could by looking at their record. And I'm looking at teams that have been really good. Like the Edmonton Oilers have been the best team in the Pacific Division. I think Vegas will get up there. I think they're hanging in there. But I think right now, Vegas, Colorado, they've been kind of in a playoff hangover, but I could expect them to be in those 2 wild card spots in the West.
Yeah.
And then the Kraken, from what you saw, you think that they're a team that can be good?
Not this year, I don't think. I think they're struggling a bit, but I think maybe in the future they'll be all right.
All right. Now let's talk about college football. So we got conference championship games this week. So let's start with the Pac-12. But before we get into that, let's talk about the big news in SoCal sports of college sports. So USC hired Lincoln Riley as the next head coach of the USC football program. And my thoughts is that I love this hire. And I think that USC needs to get back to its glory days. And I think that hiring Lincoln Riley away from Oklahoma is the ticket that USC needed. And I am excited about this hire. I'm excited for USC football, and I can't wait to see USC football compete in 2022 and play hard for Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, that's a great hire. They couldn't have done any better than that. And USC football is going to become dominant again.
Do you think it's going to be next year? That's going to be you're going to see USC return to its glory days?
Probably not next year because it's too quick of a turnaround. But I think in 2 or 3 years you could definitely see them.
I think USC is going to be ranked next year with Lincoln Riley. But I'm very excited. I've always liked Lincoln Riley. He's one of my favorite head coaches in college. I never thought he would leave Oklahoma, but you know who I think should be the next head coach at Oklahoma? Give it back to Bob Stoops.
Oh, yeah. That'd be a good hire.
And I think without Lincoln Riley, I think Oklahoma will still be a really good football program. I still think they will. They're in good hands.
Yeah.
So what about LSU hiring Brian Kelly away from Notre Dame?
Yeah,
and I can't wait. I can't wait to see him and Nick Saban go head to head next year.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. Yeah, just he hit a ceiling at Notre Dame. It's like he gets 10 wins every year. There's no conference championship, and it's tough to recruit the linemen needed to be competitive against the likes of an LSU or Alabama or Georgia or Florida, when they're good. So he was like, yeah, I'm going to go do this. And I think he's going to win a national title at LSU.
Yes, I think so. So anyways, now that being said here, now let's talk about our game picks for our conference championship game picks before we get into the bowl season of college football. Let's start with the Pac-12 championship game, Utah versus Oregon. You know what I predict? Next year, we'll see USC in Oregon next year since Lincoln Riley's the head coach.
Yeah, I'm predicting Utah this year to upset Oregon.
I'm picking Oregon to win the Pac-12.
Okay.
SEC. This is going to be a dandy. So I am going to pick Alabama to win the SEC over the Georgia Bulldogs. Do they have what it takes to win against Georgia? Yes, they can. What about you?
I'm going to go with Georgia, and that means Alabama is not going to be in the playoff this year.
Why do you not think Alabama's not going to be in the playoff this year?
Well, I think if they lose to Georgia, they just won't. I mean, they're only in at number 3 right now. So if they lose, they'll be bumping teams ahead of Alabama.
Yeah, but I think Alabama will probably play in the bowl game.
Yeah. Well,
so let's talk about the Big 12. Oklahoma State versus Baylor. I'm going to pick the better team with the better coach, and that is Mike Gundy of Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I'll go with Oklahoma State as well.
They beat Oklahoma too,
Yeah. Yep. What
about the Big Ten? I mean, Iowa Hawkeyes versus the Michigan Wolverines. And I want to say I want to applaud Jim Harbaugh for beating Ohio State last week. I mean, I know you're disgusted by this. You're not a Michigan Wolverine fan. You're a Spartan.
Yeah.
So who do you like in this game? I'm picking the Michigan Wolverines.
Yeah, I got to pick them too. I mean, Iowa probably just doesn't have the offensive pieces to do this, but their defense is good though. They've not let more than 28 points a game all season long. So, perhaps they can muck up the game enough to cause Michigan some problems and keep it close. And then something could happen. But I'm going to still go with Michigan.
All right, now let's talk about who's going to win between Pittsburgh and Wake Forest. And I'm going to pick Pittsburgh. Kenny Pickett, he's NFL quarterback ready.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Pittsburgh too. I like Pittsburgh here.
And then what about Houston and Cincinnati? I'm picking the Bearcats of Cincinnati to win over the Cougars of Houston.
Yeah, me too. Yep, I'm going with Cincinnati.
So next week, Matt and I will be predicting Week 13, and then there's going to be a lot of college football coming up as well. But we're going to be talking about college basketball here on our show pretty soon. So any early predictions before we go about who's going to win the college basketball national title game? I'm picking Duke, and it's going to be for Coach K.
Oh yeah, I'm going to hold off on my prediction for now.
Dude, do you want to see Coach K and Tom Izzo go head-to-head in the national championship game? I want to see that. That would be really good.
Fun one, yeah.
You know, when it comes to Michigan sports for college, I like Michigan football, but I like Michigan State basketball over Michigan Wolverines basketball because I like Tom Izzo better than Joanne Howard.
Yeah, Michigan State won yesterday. They beat Louisville.
Yeah. I mean, I can't wait I've always liked Tom Izzo, a really good, disciplined coach, and he doesn't make you slack off when you play under Tom Izzo at Michigan State or if you play for Coach K.
Yeah.
So anyways, Matt, I'll see you next week. We'll talk about Week 14.
Okay, see ya.